Welcome back to Planet Doug Behind the Scenes, Journal Edition, Storytime Edition. Yeah, different time of day right now, so where to start? I guess I'll start with the scene. It is Friday, October 14th, 6 o'clock in the evening. I normally would do this in the morning. That's my routine, but I ran out of coffee creamer, so I was gonna pop outside, head to a local store, buy some coffee, cream, milk, whatever, maybe some real milk and some cornflakes, get some comfort snack type food. And I thought, since I'm heading out for a little walk in my neighborhood at a time when the light is usually pretty nice, I thought I'd bring along the GoPro and chat for a bit, casually, as I do in these videos. As always, I'm sort of spellbound by the Merdeka 118 building, right there above me with a whole bunch of birds flying in front of it. Amazing. I don't know what it is about that building. It just sort of captured my imagination for some reason. I was out today with a YouTuber that I know here, Rich Art Asia. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then we were riding around in his car, and I was kind of talking about this building all the time and how impressive it was. And he kind of poo-pooed it. He says, it's actually kind of boring, you know, that color needs to be more colorful. And he prefers the Petronas towers, like those are towers he can get behind. And I was saying to him, you know, I always seem to go for the underdog. Like, yeah, maybe, you know, the Petronas towers, those are the main attraction of Kuala Lumpur as far as buildings go. That's where everyone goes to take their selfies, you know. But I like this tower. You know, maybe it's the underdog now. But I don't know, there's something about it that really gets to me. This is the alleyway right near my current guest house. You can see a tower there, a small one. That's part of the Sri Mi Mariamman Hindu temple. It's right behind this wall, and this wall often gets a lot of graffiti. And right here are the stalls that sell a lot of garlands. It's a very popular temple. I mean, you wouldn't know it unless you come out here early in the morning, but if you come out here early in the morning, it's busy. The Hindu community comes out in numbers, large numbers at certain times of the day, when the temple is right here around the corner. It was pouring hard down, like pouring down rain just a few minutes ago. I could hear it thundering on the roof of my guest house, but it has dried up. I might go down to the river just now before I go to the store, just to see whether the heavy rains raised the river level or not. And I came in this direction first, actually, because I wanted to show you a new coffee shop. And I'm still going to show it to you, but it's actually closed right now, so my timing isn't the best. But the day before, yesterday, I met up with another YouTuber that I know here in Kuala Lumpur from Australia, Expat Pete. And he shoots walking videos of Kuala Lumpur, where he grabs his camera and walks through this, you know, the famous downtown areas and other parts of Kuala Lumpur. And so I met up, I got to know him online. We've been talking back and forth quite a bit about all YouTube related things and camera related things. And I never met him. And now that I was here in Kuala Lumpur, you know, we had a chance to meet in person for the first time. And he came down to here, near Pasar Seni. He came to my neighborhood. And we were going to meet for breakfast at Lucy in the Sky. But as I was walking around here in the morning, you know, waiting, just walking around, exploring before Expat Pete showed up. And I came across this place. I didn't even get the name of it when I was here before, but there's the name now, called the Melbourne Cafe, Coffee and Kitchen. And maybe I can just peek through the doorway a little bit. The thing is, it's very historic because this corner shop right here is very well known in Kuala Lumpur, especially in this area, because it was a music store selling classic vinyl records. And every time you came down here, they had big speakers set outside, and they'd be playing, you know, some of the music, you know, that they were selling inside. And now I don't know if it's the same owners or not, but it's been converted from an actual music store to this very nice coffee shop. And yeah, Expat Pete and I had a coffee here. So there's the interior. I know. I was here the other day. Hello. I was just walking around and making a video for YouTube. So I thought I would... what's that?
We are going to leave soon.
I know. I didn't come for coffee. I'm just walking down around.
Tomorrow I can?
Yeah, tomorrow. So, okay. Yeah. yeah, tomorrow I can come. Yeah, I was just talking about the history of this place.
Yeah.
That it used to be a music store, right? And they still have some of the old records on the wall back there from, is it still the same owner?
No, it's not. Actually, these are all my own collections.
Right.
Actually, because I know that this is a record store, so I just put some of the, the factors in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just
So
for people to remember this place.
Right. Yeah, I remember it very well.
Yeah.
When I came here.
It's actually been here around for 70 years old.
70 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
one of the earliest record store around in KL.
And did you buy it from the building from the owner? You're just renting it, and you turned it from a record store, cafe, but you kept the music theme.
The theme. Yeah.
Right.
And all these are my own collection.
From your own collection,
Since
okay.
I was very young.
The original record store, what kind of music did they specialize in?
Actually, they specialize in all kinds, but especially mainly in I think Mandarin music.
Mandarin music.
So those days, you see the very famous Teresa Tan, one of the very
Okay.
famous singer. She was giving her signing ceremony, a record signing ceremony here back in 1972.
Oh, at this shop.
This shop.
Oh, that's her there.
Yeah,
in front. Okay, that's a photograph of the original shop.
Yeah.
Yan Qi.
Yankee, yes.
Yan Qi. And so she's a famous singer of that time.
Her album, I feel, there are 3 of the albums, 4 of the albums.
Oh, right there. Okay. Are you going to play music by them in the during the coffee shop?
Because first of all, we are very bogged down with the quality of the food that we serve.
Okay.
So we don't really have time to go and play music.
Oh yeah, you're focusing on the food and the coffee for now. Great.
Focusing on the food and beverages.
Right. Okay, great. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice meeting you. By the way, how do I address you?
Oh, Douglas.
Douglas from
Canada.
Canada, okay.
Yeah, this is my Canada. That's my
Very famous Canada coffee is called Timmy.
Yeah, Tim Hortons. Yeah.
Yes, my friend.
I travel in my backpack with a Tim Hortons mug.
Oh, really?
Everywhere I go in the world, I drink from a Tim Hortons mug.
Yes. Their coffee is quite nice. I tasted it in Shanghai itself, when they first opened.
Yeah, it's very simple but good coffee. Tim Hortons.
You can try our coffee. I think it'll be equally good.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. All right. Okay, nice to meet you. Oop, backing up. So that worked out quite well. When I first showed up, it was such a typical Doug experience. It's the sort of thing that just happens to me all the time. I'm walking up to the coffee shop and I just want to talk about it and oh, this is a coffee shop and talk about it. And then I get 4 people in a row, assuming I'm here to get coffee. We're closed. Tomorrow you come. We're closed. I know you're closed. I get that. I'm not here to order coffee. I'm doing this weird thing where I walk around with a GoPro and I talk about things. I'm not here to get coffee. That was pretty funny. Things that happened to me. But there it is, Melbourne Cafe. And we have some real videographers hard at work. Look at that, a Ronin handheld gimbal. Yeah, I don't know what this is, but it looks like it's, that's new as well. Look at that, very fancy. People up at the top there. Coupe de Ville, probably, right? What else? Oh, Coupe de Vin. Yeah, glass of wine. Ah, brand new place. I've never seen that before either. But I guess it's serving as a nice backdrop for their video shoot, whatever it is that they're doing. And you get tons of people here with cameras all day long because this is such a big tourist attraction. Just to all visitors to Kuala Lumpur, you know, people like me end up here at some point to take a picture of this, the facade of this temple, the outside. There's always someone standing here with a camera, just like I'm doing. And when I was walking around with expat Pete, he remembered that I shot a video about the best kept secret in Kuala Lumpur, and it is a restaurant right at the very top of this building with a gorgeous view of this whole area. Someone showed it to me, and then I would go up there from time to time to grab something to eat or a drink and take in the view. So expat Pete and I went into the lobby to try and take the elevator up there, but the elevator locked us out. Like, it wouldn't take us to the 17th or 18th floor. So either the timing could have been wrong, or that restaurant up there is now closed. You know, I'm not really sure. Yeah, I'm not going to go into the temple, but I see that the doors are open, so we can just take a glance through the doors from here. If I try to go farther, I'll be told very quickly, put on your mask and take off your shoes, so I won't make them worry. I'm not going to go farther than this. Maybe I can come back in the morning sometime. But yeah, just a glimpse into the interior. So in terms of the day-to-day activities, I've been doing all this unboxing. That's continuing. All of my stuff was in storage, my bicycle and other camera gear and various things, and I've been slowly working through that. I've been working on videos that I shot in Penang before I arrived in Kuala Lumpur. And this, by the way, Lucy in the Sky, another very well-known cafe and eatery, and they're also closing right now. But expat Pete and I also had we had coffee at that other place, at the record store place, and then we had breakfast here. And this is a very well-known guest house here, like a low-budget backpackers place. It's been around, I think, feels like it's been around as long as Kuala Lumpur has been around. You know, you can tell when you see a dorm room like that, you're dealing with a backpacker sort of environment. Never known how to pronounce it. Raisies, I guess. Yeah, Raisies guest house. I've never stayed there, but it's sort of for me, it feels like an institution, because whenever you're looking up, you know, budget hotels to stay in, that's going to be at the top of the list as a suggestion, you know, for people on a budget. Yeah, in terms of street action, this isn't the best time to go for a walk. I guess everybody's closing. Again, when expat Pete and I walked by here, I noticed this shop. There's like two party shops here. I think they've been here for a long time. There's one across the road there, Crystal Party Shop. And then there's one over here. What is this one called? Mob Party Lab. And the only way I know a holiday is coming up is because I walk by one of these places and I see the decorations. And then we came by here yesterday and I went, ah, right, Halloween. So I lose track of time, especially seasonal months and holidays. But so we got a werewolf here, some kind of a zombie, I guess. And on, skeleton, scary clowns, another werewolf. So yeah, Frankenstein. I don't know who that is actually, but yeah, they got all their Halloween stuff. Jack-o'-lantern. Oh, tons of them down there. Yeah, I don't really know if Halloween is a big deal in Malaysia or not. I sense not. You know, not really. There's a skeleton being tortured, hanging from the ceiling. And a very grim-looking fellow here. Oh, yeah, I noticed this one yesterday too. That's kind of a frightening face. I saw that, like I said, walking around yesterday, and then it reminded me that, oh yeah, this is October and Halloween is coming up. Yeah, there's my building behind me. Yeah, I'm just gonna head right down to the river here, continue talking. So yeah, I've been unpacking, cleaning up all my gear, all the stuff that the rats destroyed, salvaging what I can, and working on videos. And then something happened yesterday that I wanted to talk about a little bit, because it's kind of a big part of my life, and probably a big part of everyone that has a YouTube channel, and that's dealing with YouTube and Google and AdSense and all these things. They're like these mysterious, monolithic organizations that none of us understand in any way, and yet they're big parts of our lives. And I mean, unless you're like a huge YouTuber with, you know, billions of subscribers and very famous, maybe you've had a human contact with somebody at YouTube or Google, but that's very, very rare. Most of us only know YouTube and Google through like random emails that may or may not show up saying things. And last night, YouTube caused like a worldwide panic. Worldwide and in my own life, because yeah, I got a notification, you know, my phone dinged and said I got an email, you know. So I went to check my email account, and I opened up this email that looks legit, it looks real, it's 100% real as far as I could tell. It's from YouTube, and it said something like, oh, one of your AdSense accounts, and it gave the number of my AdSense account, the thing that pays us through YouTube. It's AdSense that pays us, and it says one of your AdSense accounts was recently canceled. If you were owed more than $10, that money will be paid to you as normal. If it was less than $10, you'll never get it. Thank you very much. And that was the end of the email. It's basically like you having a job, working for a bank or insurance company or the local board of education, whatever you do, and you just get an email that says, oh, by the way, your salary was recently canceled, and thank you very much. And that's the end of the email. It's like, and I end up panicking, and I think a lot of other people panic as well, not only because of the content of the email and this idea that you no longer have an AdSense account connected to your YouTube channel, but it's that we're helpless to do anything about it. Like if your ATM card, your debit card for your bank just wasn't working one day, you have recourse. You can go to the bank and talk to a human being and say, hey, my card isn't working. You know, I can't do that with my bank because I'm here, but even for my terrible, terrible bank back in Canada, I have phone numbers I can call. You know, they have websites I can visit, and I can get a toll-free number, and I can get, you know, just a normal number that I can call. And I got to jump through a lot of security hoops to convince anybody to talk to me and believe that I am who I say I am. And then, but eventually I can talk to a human being and say, oh, listen, you know, my credit card, there was some problem with it, and can you look into this and help me out? You can actually speak to a human being. But if something goes wrong with your YouTube channel, your AdSense account, anything to do with Google, your YouTube, I mean, what do you do? I mean, what are you going to do? Pick up the phone and call somebody, you know, go down to the office, knock on the door. Hey, yeah, YouTube, something's wrong with my account. It's just like this huge computer system that does things, and little people like me, like most people, we have no hope of ever getting in contact with anyone real there. No human being will ever speak to us. So yeah, I got this email, and I love the use of the passive voice in that email. You know, as an English teacher, I notice these things. I love the passive voice where you don't specify who performed the action. Like the email didn't say, we canceled your AdSense account. It didn't say, you canceled your your AdSense account. It used the passive voice and just said, one of your AdSense accounts was canceled. It was canceled, which is the passive voice. And it doesn't say who did it. Doesn't say why they did it. Doesn't say who did it. Nothing. It just, this thing happened. And they're like, well, we have no idea what's going on. We didn't do it. Maybe you did it. We don't know. It was canceled. And there's sort of like, and please have a good day. You know, that was the end of the email. And I got this email fairly late at night. just as I was sort of getting organized to end the day and go to sleep. And suddenly my heart was pounding and I thought, oh no, my whole night now, I'm gonna be up worrying about this, doing Google searches, trying to figure out what this email means and what can I do about it. And I know I'm not gonna be able to figure anything out, so I'm gonna spend the entire night sort of in this mild state of panic and I won't be able to rest the entire night. And it's just gonna ruin my night and it's gonna ruin, you know, the next day as well. This is gonna be hovering over me for a long time. And I was like, oh man, why did I check my email? And I know better. Don't check your emails before you go to bed, because if you get an email, it's almost never good news. Very rarely. I mean, if you got an email from your bank, it means there's a problem. So basically, don't check your email at night. Do it in the morning when you're fresh and you're ready to face problems. But I broke my rule, checked this email, and my AdSense account is gone. And for those who have never heard of AdSense before, I'll explain briefly because I barely understand it myself. But AdSense is the arm of Google that controls advertising. So YouTubers get paid based on the ads that show up on their videos. And when you have a YouTube channel, you also have to have an AdSense account. You open that separately, and then you have to connect that AdSense account to your YouTube channel, and then connect both of those together to your bank. And then eventually, you know, money can trickle into your bank account from time to time. And I've never understood it. AdSense has been a complete mystery to me from the very beginning. I shot a series of like 5 full videos about my adventures, just trying to monetize the YouTube channel and figure out what to do with AdSense. And it was a long, grueling process. And yeah, 90% of the time I didn't know what I was doing, really. I was just sort of following instructions and clicking on things until they stopped giving me things to click on. And the first thing I did actually after I got this email was to sort of reach out. I reached out to Daryl from Wander Eats because, well, the first thing I did was I tried to sign in to my AdSense account. Why not? I mean, I have an AdSense account. I want to sign into it and see for myself what's going on. In particular, in the email, they told me the number of the AdSense account that had been canceled. And as far as I know, I only have one anyway. So like, why are they saying one of your accounts was canceled when I have only one anyway? It's not like I have 10 of them. Most people have just one. So they should say your AdSense account was canceled. So I didn't even understand the email to begin with. But anyway, they gave me a number. It's a very long serial number. And I wanted to go into my AdSense account, look at my AdSense account number and make sure it matches the one in the email. Because maybe it's a totally different account that I don't know what's going on. So I'm trying to log into AdSense, and this may make me look even more of a dummy than I am. But to this day, I don't know where my AdSense account is. I don't know where it is. I mean, if you do a deep dive into your Google account, you'll find menus and links leading you into a wilderness of things that you have that you probably don't even know about. All kinds of Google products and Google this and Google that, and you can dive deeper and deeper and deeper. And you would think that you could just go to your Google account, signed in as me, you know, with my Gmail address, and then one of the top things there should be, you know, go to your AdSense account, click, and it takes you there. But it doesn't exist. It's nowhere to be found. You can roam around in the Google wilderness for days, and if you can find AdSense, you're a better person than I am. Better man, better woman, better child, because I can't find it. And what I end up having to do, which sounds completely insane, is I Google AdSense. That's the only way I know how to find it. I just go to Google Chrome, you know, open up the web browser, and I just type in AdSense, and I look for a link in the search results, hoping that that will lead me to my AdSense account, wherever it is. And again, since your AdSense is connected to your YouTube channel, you'd think there would be a link from YouTube. That's what I've always assumed. You know, I have a dashboard, YouTube dashboard, has all kinds of information there about monetization, on and on. You know, you can upload videos, edit videos, change the thumbnails, change the descriptions, you know, everything is there. And you'd think there would be a link there that says, click to go to your AdSense account. But there's no, there's no link there either. There is no way, through Google or YouTube, to go directly to your AdSense account. And I've never understood where it is. Like, where is it located on the internet? I can never find it. My wandering has brought me here, by the way. There's I'm still right in my neighborhood. My guest house is right behind me, but that's the Central Market, pale blue. There's the Kasturi Walk. And over here, some of the, this is kind of new to me. There wasn't this much street art in Kuala Lumpur when I was here 3 years ago. There seems to have been some kind of a government program encouraging this. And based on YouTube videos from travel vloggers, they're finding artwork like this all over the city. And I've walked long distances in the city and I never saw much like this. There's just a lot more than there used to be. And looking down that street, that is the Chinatown Market. Lights starting to turn on, some crowds of people down there. And I'm heading into this KK Market to get my milk and coffee creamer and maybe some cornflakes. But anyway, I did that thing I was talking about. In order to find my AdSense account, the only thing I can do is Google it, and then I found a link there, and it actually brought me, it gave me a Google AdSense login link. So I clicked on that, and it brought me to a page that had my name on it, like my Gmail address, my Google account, and it was asking for my password and you know, two-step verification, login, all these things. I thought I was already logged into AdSense. That's the way it normally works, because you're logged into your Google account, so you don't have to do anything special.
This is for you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Literature to read through. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but this case, I wasn't logged in. I was brought to this page where AdSense, and it said, okay, log in. So I put in my password and everything, and I ended up on a page that was signing me up for AdSense. It was asking me all these questions about creating a new AdSense account. And that made me panic, because the only reason you'd be told to create an AdSense account is when you don't have one anymore. So that made me think, oh my gosh, that email was true. Whatever AdSense account I had, wherever it was, it's now gone. And they're asking me to create a new one. And that was like my heart's pitter-pattering away, thinking, oh my gosh, you know, how this is going to turn into a major problem. Flower shop, I'm passing. And so I backed out of that as fast as I could, because the last thing you want to do, trust me, is start creating duplicate AdSense accounts. You think it's hard having one, try having two that conflict with each other. Oh man, that can be a disaster beyond belief. So I backed out of that, and then by this point I felt like I needed some moral support. So I sent a message to Daryl from Wander Eats, YouTuber here in Kuala Lumpur, a friend of mine, and I think he's used to getting emails like this from me, in which things are going wrong and I'm panicking. And it's like, Daryl, you won't believe it. I just got an email from YouTube that told me that my AdSense account was canceled. And like, do you know what's going on? Like, is this, anything, this happened to you? And hadn't happened to him. He didn't know anything about it. And then I asked him, because I was still trying to just find my AdSense account. So I asked him, how do you find AdSense? Because like, where is it? I feel like such a dummy, but yeah, I don't know where my AdSense account is located. Since I was nearby, I thought I'd just keep walking through the Chinatown Market. So this is the entrance here. And most of these sellers are very good at getting customers. So they're very active about calling you in and trying to find out if you need anything that they're selling in their shop. I'm always disappointing everyone everywhere I go because I'm never here to buy anything. Interesting area though. Well, actually I don't think I've ever noticed that big red building on the right. I don't think I've ever seen it before quite like this. I've walked down here lots of times, but I couldn't tell you exactly what that building is. But anyway, here's the one of the streets in the Chinatown market early in the evening. So I asked Daryl, how do you find your AdSense account? To my amusement, he wrote back and says, I just Google it. Same as me. He doesn't know where it is either. He just types AdSense into Google Chrome, does a search, and then picks one of the links and he just clicks on things at random, and he eventually lands in his AdSense account. But you never know where it is, like where it was for the next time. You know, there's no way to go there directly through a link. Anyway, that's what he said. Long story. Okay, so yeah, restaurant. It kind of looked like a restaurant, didn't it? So there's the name. Restaurant Kim Lian Ki. So, yeah, beautiful building. Looks like kind of like big banquet hall kind of seating up there. Right here is the main Chinatown street. Like there's a covering up there, you know, protection from the sun and the rain. It goes all the way from one end to the other, covers the whole thing. Long story, as I said, but I'll jump to the end because eventually I did what I often end up doing. I get a lot of these sort of panicky emails and messages that I don't understand, and there's like phrases in them, quite unique phrases, and what I'll do is I'll just take that phrase and type it into Google search and see what comes up. Like generally other people are experiencing the same problem that you're experiencing, and one way to find out is to take a key phrase from the email and just type it in. So I did that. I picked out something like, you know, one of your AdSense accounts was canceled. I typed that into Google and boom, huge, long, like within the last hour, messages just flooding the internet around the world of people like me also looking for help. You know, they're like reaching out for any information they can find. And there were tons of YouTube videos, like all posted within the hour, people saying, like sort of calling out to their subscribers and other YouTubers for help, saying, I just got this email. It told me my AdSense was canceled. I don't know what's going on. I can't get any information. Is this happening to you? Can anyone tell me what's happening? And you got a bunch of these YouTube videos. And then you started to see videos from people who got some information. And they were like saying, calm down, everyone. You know, I know you got one of these emails telling you your AdSense was canceled. We all got them. Thousands of people around the world got them. And it doesn't mean anything. Your account is not canceled. Don't worry. You don't have to do anything. This is just an administrative thing that Google and YouTube is doing. And then they explain what happened. It turns out that AdSense is a very complicated thing that controls all the advertising over all of Google. Like any website you see that has ads over it, that's all being controlled by AdSense. And it's a big, powerful, blunt kind of tool. And it's too much for dumb YouTubers like me. Like we hobo YouTubers, we scrub YouTubers, we can't figure out AdSense. It's too much for us because it's just too big, and it's a big, powerful thing. So what they were doing is developing basically AdSense for dummies. It's a special version of AdSense specially designed for YouTubers who need it dumbed down and more understandable. Because to be honest, even in the days when I could find my AdSense account, I never understood anything I was looking at. They even listed your income month by month and a total and payments and everything. But it was like an accounting spreadsheet where the numbers add and subtract in a way that only accountants understand. None of the numbers ever added up to me, and I could never make sense out of any of them. So AdSense I could never understand to begin with. So it was never a bad thing, I could never find it. So anyway, what they were doing was creating a dumbed down version of AdSense specifically for your YouTube channel. But in order to do that, just because of the way computers work and the way these things work, they had to, before they could create your YouTube AdSense account, they had to cancel your other AdSense account, the big one, which you weren't using anyway, I guess. So basically, they were doing something good for us. As I said, they were creating a more friendly AdSense interface for YouTubers. But in order to do that, they had to remove the old one. And they could have phrased their email. I think the email was sent out automatically. It was like an automated email built into the system that they forgot about, that every time they cancel an AdSense account, it automatically sends out this email to inform people what happened. It's not something anybody controls. So in their thinking, well, from the YouTuber's point of view, we're doing something good for them, and they'll never even notice anyway. All that's going to happen to most people is the next time you go to your AdSense account, it's going to look different. Like, you won't notice a difference. You've got the same account number, the same information, but it's just laid out in a simplified form. So one day you go to AdSense and it looks simpler and easier to understand. And that's, from their point of view, that's all they were doing. But they had this automated system that I guess they forgot about, that every time they canceled an AdSense account, it would blast out these emails to, I don't know, tens, hundreds of thousands of people around the world, millions. I don't know how many of us got this email, but a lot of us, enough to cause like a worldwide panic. And that's what I was dealing with last night. And I'm still kind of entertaining myself by going onto YouTube and typing in, you know, your AdSense account was canceled, and just watching all these videos of people either panicking, asking questions, or other people coming on to explain what happened and calm people down. Yeah, it's a weird, weird world you find yourself in once you start posting YouTube videos. So that was a big chunk of my life yesterday. Oh, yeah, what an adventure that was. I've had so many of those adventures with YouTube and Google where things happen and I have no idea what happened, and I end up exhausted at the end of it. There's the red restaurant that we passed by already, and I guess this is the central intersection for the market, right here, where one street goes this way, crosses over with the other street going up and down. Looking in all directions. You have to have a firm resolve to walk through this market and not walk out with a new watch. They're very good at selling you watches when you don't actually need one, or a belt, or actually this is much more crowded than it used to be. They never had these stalls in the middle before. I don't like this at all. It used to be just stalls over here and then stalls over there on the right, the two buildings, but the whole center area was completely open. This is all new. Makes it look like a shopping mall. Yeah, like running shoes and t-shirts. Yeah, I definitely don't like this. When did this happen? Yeah, this totally changes the atmosphere in here. I mean, you used to walk along down the middle of the street and you would see all the stalls on the side, but you're also taking in all the buildings that line this street. But now, with everything crowded into the middle, you don't really see much anymore. And it's all selling the same basic junk, really, that you'd find in any cheap department store. Yeah, like if you need a pair of jeans or handbags. Wallets and belts and t-shirts. You might as well be at a Walmart, basically. Like here it opens up a little bit. That's nice. Like these ones They still have everything is filled up in the middle, but at least you can sort of see, you know, take in a bit of the atmosphere, you know, some of the buildings. But yeah, well, here's a change in Kuala Lumpur. I don't approve of, but here it is opening up a little bit. I mean, this was never a traditional market. It's always been, as far as I've known about it, you know, it's a market for tourists. It's a shopping market for tourists. And, it's always interesting to walk around in here. Here you get a glimpse of some of the buildings along the side. You know, old historic hotels and things like that. The Hotel Excel Inn up there. The Oriental Inn over here. Oh, I think this used to be open, if I remember right. You could get into the hotel. Maybe the hotel is closed. But yeah, you can see some of the facade up there. As for the other adventures recently that fit into like a journal account of my days, nothing rises quite level to the panic of the email I got from YouTube and from Google. But yeah, today I got together with Richard Asia. And yeah, he's a friend of mine. I've met up with him a few times here in Kuala Lumpur on my other visits. He knows Daryl as well. But he's also a camera expert. He's very, very technical and knows things, and he knows people in Kuala Lumpur. So I kind of reached out to him saying, you know, I have, as I mentioned, some camera lenses for photography that I don't use anymore, and I'm interested in selling them because I don't use them for shooting video. And yeah, he was all over that. And he says, yeah, you know, I'll come into town. We'll go have something to eat. And he had some camera stuff to do. He was going to one place to buy a lens. He was going to another place to get a Sony full-frame camera that they're lending him for a few days to go out and test. He was going to buy a DJI Action 3. He was going to do an unboxing in the park with me as the guest unboxer with him. Had all kinds of plans. So he came into town, picked me up at my guest house. Oh, we've emerged from the far end of what they call the Petaling Jalan. Oh, this is Jalan Petaling. That's the name of the street. Petaling Street, and this is the Market Street. Came out the other end. I still haven't gotten around to buying what I came out to buy. So let's go do that now. Huh, I think that looks freshly painted, actually. At least I don't remember that solid wall of red before. And as always, watching me, Merdika. Yeah, Richard picked me up. Always fun to get in a car here. It's such a different city. It was kind of funny because we started driving, and then it seemed like we drove and we drove and we drove and we drove and we went around and down this highway and changed to this highway. It was a long journey. I was like, where in the world are we going? And then he took me into this huge underground parking garage, and we were parking and got out of the car, and I asked him, like, where are we? Like, what building is this? And he says, oh, this is Times Square. And that shocked me because Times Square is like right over there. I mean, I walk to Times Square all the time. It was a normal thing for me to walk from my guest house to Times Square. And I said, it took us that long to drive to Times Square? I walk there, you know, all the time. But when you go by car, you're sucked into this series of one-way streets, and you end up having to do these loops. And by the time you get anywhere, you feel like you've driven. Like when you drive, it always feels much farther than it really is. And I think that's what keeps people from walking and cycling quite a bit, because you're used to driving somewhere and you have an impression of how far it is, and your brain interprets it as a great distance. Like, oh, that's too far to walk. But if you did walk it one day, you'd find out that it's not as far as your brain thinks it is. You know, because I always do it the other way around. I'm always walking everywhere and I have a sense of the distance, and then I get in a car to drive there, and then in the car it actually feels much farther than it did when I was walking. And I realized that had I driven there, I probably never would have walked, because I would conclude it's too far. Anyway. And yeah, so we went to Times Square, and we went into this camera store where he's good friends with the owner, and that was an interesting experience. I'm not really sure my ground in a lot of these places, because the owners of these like buy and sell, they sell a lot of used and new and a lot of online sales, and they're businessmen, and then they're in the business of buying and selling camera gear, and I'm not quite sure what's going on much of the time. I'm not sure if I can explain this. Let me zoom down this quieter alleyway. Part of it is an uncomfortable feeling, because every lens that I have is like a child of mine. I remember researching it and dreaming about it and comparing it to other lenses, the focal length, you know, the aperture, the speed of this lens, the sharpness of it, and you choose that lens and you take it home and you open it and you use it lovingly, and you have a history with this lens. It's something that's very personal to you. I had this lens, and I remember all the times I used it, and it means something emotionally to me. But then you go into one of these places, which is essentially a warehouse and a factory for buying and selling, and now the lens loses all of its value from that point of view. For this guy, it's just a dollars and cents transaction, and he's got dozens of these lenses. You know, it means nothing to him. And when I sell the lens, I kind of want to sell it with the story. I want to talk about the lens and have this moment with the guy, you know, talk about the quality of the lens, why I bought it in the first place, and what it's meant to me and my life. But of course, he's a businessman. He's buying and selling lenses, and then it just doesn't feel like a very satisfying experience for me sometimes, you know, going to these places. But that, right there, that's where Richard comes in, because he was at home there. He was like a shark in the water. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew this guy is a friend of his, and he's the kind of guy that will buy and sell 2 cameras a week. You know, he'll buy this one, and then it's not quite working out for me. For him, it's nothing to just trade it in and get a new one. I'll trade this one in. He doesn't. For me, you know, like a new camera, a new lens, that's a big event in my life, and I usually stick with whatever I bought, you know, for years and years and years. But you know, Richard, he buys and sells, you know, every day of the week, it seems like. So he kind of took over the whole transaction, and he was friends with the guy. The guy was really busy too, you know, so he didn't have a lot of time to stop and sit down and hear my long stories about all my lenses and cameras and everything. But Richard, you know, spoke to him in Chinese and made all these arrangements, and things may happen. Basically, the easiest route forward dealing with this place is for me, because right now the market is flooded, as they both explained to me, that the economy has been hit so hard by COVID. Things are so poor right now that everybody's unloading their camera equipment, just dumping it on the market. And he's got tons of stock. Yeah, he doesn't need any more. So it is a buyer's market, to put it bluntly. So the one thing that would convince him to deal with me would be because I'm thinking about getting a different camera, sort of upgrading from one that I have, and if I bought that camera from him, I could take my current camera along with a stack of lenses and trade it in, and then get a camera from him in return. So he wouldn't be losing cash. And this adds a lot of value to the transaction for him, as Richard explained it to me. And I was willing to go for it. I was like, okay, this all sounds pretty reasonable to me. The more I thought about it, and then towards the end of my time at this shop, the main owner, he actually kind of warmed up. Like, he was so busy beforehand, I didn't get a sense of him, but towards the end, he suddenly had a few minutes to talk to me. He was a great guy, very warm and friendly, great sense of humor. We were talking about cameras, and I just got a really good feeling about him. And so we might be moving forward with this whole thing where I'll bring in all of my camera gear that I'm not using, give it to him in the morning, and he'll spend the day looking it over, testing it, deciding what he thinks it's worth, what he can sell it for, and then he will come back with an offer. You know, you give me this camera body, this lens, whatever he likes that he thinks he can sell, that equals the value of the camera that I want to get, and then we'll kind of make a trade. And as he said, if the things I take from you are worth more than this camera I'm giving back, yeah, I'll just give you the cash in exchange. So essentially, I'd be walking in with my box of stuff I'm not using and walk out with a camera that I would use, plus a bunch of money. So the whole deal started to sound pretty good to me. And then afterwards, we left from there, and Richard took me to a really nice restaurant for rice. And I'm going to embarrass myself here because it's a special pork dish that they make there. And he brought me to this place specifically for that dish. And it was amazing. It was really, really delicious. But I can't think of the name of it right now. He told me the name as if I must know this dish. He said, oh, they make really good such and such. And then I kind of stopped him and said, I don't know what that is. And it was this, roast pork with rice. It's one of these famous places that just is jammed with people at lunchtime with a big lineup outside. And we got there early, so we managed to get a nice table and had a really good lunch. And then we went to a park afterwards. Well, we went to another place where Richard picked up his Sony full-frame camera that I mentioned. And then we went to a park he knows about. He loves testing cameras in this park because it's full of birds that are used to humans. And these big, beautiful birds will perch on a branch or on the ground and then sit there. And he can take pictures of them, like change the settings on his camera, take another picture, change lenses, take another picture, and the bird hasn't moved. So he can use the same beautiful subject over and over and over again, testing his camera, in different ways. Because these birds, like other places, the bird will have flown away by then, but here they stay right where they are. So we hung out in the park for a while. Great place. Giant monitor lizards swimming in the lake, turtles. And I didn't bring a camera with me today for all these adventures because when we went to the camera store, I brought all of my old camera gear with me, and my backpack was just like packed with stuff. And there just wasn't any more room to bring my GoPro or other cameras. And I just sort of thought, I'll leave the camera behind for today, and I'll talk about the adventure in journal story time rather than film it as it happens. And then it started to pour rain at the park, and we had to run for cover, climb into the car, and that was pretty much the end of the day. And that brings me up to date, and now brings you up to date, and I'm standing out front of the KK Supermart, and that's where I'm getting my cornflakes, milk, and coffee creamer, and that's it. I will spare you the shopping experience. It's a pretty ordinary experience, I think. So that's it for my journal for today, a 6 p.m. journal instead of a 5 a.m. journal. Yeah, just mixing things up here on Planet Doug behind the scenes. See you in the next video.